23. Much better. The rain's still coming, so let's see what we can get done. Okay, so I've got the 4 pieces of conduit bent. I got their 90-degree bends, and I got the 245s on the ends. It was pretty easy with the pipe bender and the little jig that we made from the book. Some of the bends don't quite match up on each side, like one's kind of going this way and one's kind of going that way. I guess the pipe kind of turned a little bit in the jig, but it did keep it pretty steady. So now it's time to try to get these things attached. I accidentally bent the middle pipe. So you buy 5 pipes for the ribs, and one is like the center spine that goes down the top of them. Well, I lined everybody up and bent everybody. I got excited. I guess I gotta go to Lowe's for another one, but anyway, let's at least get these attached. Stress-free? I think not. Okay, bone to pick. You have to get 2 types of screws for this project. And it tells you to buy a lot of them. So I have a ton of these different screws. But when it comes down to doing some of these other things, like he says, you know, you can use the same screws for the pipes. Well, they only go in a tiny bit, and it doesn't even hold them on. And this is supposed to hold a roof structure. So you have 2 different sizes. I have 1 1/4 inch, and then I have, I think, 2 1/2 inch screws. And the 2 1/2 inches are great if you're screwing a 2x4 into a 2x4. Perfect. The 1 1/4, they're okay. You know, for the 1x4s to 1x4, perfect. But when you need a little extra wiggle room, sometimes you need an extra inch. So I'm gonna go and just get some screws that are at least, you know, 1 1/2 inches, maybe a 2-inch screw, because it has to go through that metal pipe into the wood and not out the other side, but it needs to be in there enough where it's grabbing it, because otherwise I don't feel like it's structurally strong enough. The only other option I would say is just to put like a bracket around the pipe. One of the other issues that I ran into, and this is just a skill issue because this is my first time building this type of chicken tractor and bending conduit pipe, is even with the conduit bender and stopping where the little 45-degree line is, it overbent them. So now I'm having to take them and kind of step on them and straighten out that bend a little bit, because really it's a very slight angle that it needs. So whenever you're doing this, if you are going to build one of these, take the instructions with a grain of salt. And I think he does say that in the book, whenever you're reading through it, you know, that he curtailed this for his needs. But when you're doing it yourself, you're going to see it's much more difficult than stress-free. So experiment. I would say get a couple extra conduit pipes just in case you mess one up. Something that I'm also running into is that The first bend that you do in them is the 90-degree bend to get like the pitch. And whenever I put it up to the frame, the widest parts at the bottom are actually wider than the frame itself. So then I'm having to also bend it a little bit more with my own force to bring the two ends in that you're going to screw onto the base. And then I'm noticing that the pitches are at different heights. So it's this whole finagling these pieces that are wiggling and waving, not stress free. Anyway, I gotta go to Lowe's. Another tip, don't do this project alone. Have a second pair of hands. It would be so much easier if Rob wasn't having to sleep right now. But as most of you know, some of you don't know, but Rob is a nurse. So whenever you don't see him in videos, he's probably sleeping because he's been switched over to nights right now due to the whole COVID-19 thing. So he's been working like 7 to 8 day stretches. So he's sleeping right now. Anyway, that's why you're not seeing him. But back to this, I gotta go to Lowe's. Down the mountain I go. Okay, I'm back. Got the 1 3/4 inch. These should do the trick. And I got an electric staple gun for putting up the hardware cloth and some of the chicken wire. Okay, so we got the chicken wire attached on all the front and back openings. You can kind of see. And we got the hardware cloth on the sides. Still have to do the door, unfortunately. And I left the back open. I'm not going to put hardware cloth there because I'm actually going to put a piece of wood because I'm using this for my egg layers. So I'm going to be mounting some nice nesting boxes for them. So that doesn't need to be wire. We're going to put a board up there. Okay, good evening everybody. It is the last stretch for this darn chicken tractor. It is going to be done tonight. It has taken a little longer than anticipated. A lot of the issue was most of the stores up here were out of all the stuff that we needed, all the little bits, all the hardware cloth, the chicken wire, all that stuff. Lowe's, Tractor Supply, Ace Hardware, everybody was out of everything for a while, so I had to wait for stuff to get back in stock. And I had to drive all the way to the other county to the only Home Depot that's around and get the little gusset brackets that fit everything. So let's get this thing done. Good afternoon, everybody. It is another beautiful day here on the ranch, as it is every day, even when it rains. It's gorgeous. So, as you can see behind me, the chicken tractor is done. Now, you didn't get to see all of the build. We had weather issues, we had camera issues, and when it came down to it, that thing just needed to get done and in this field. But now we have some time to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with this thing. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Will I build another one? Let's see. Hey, ducks. Yeah. You keep talking your shit. That's all right. What's up, everybody? You guys hiding in the shade? Yeah, you're out in the pasture now. What are you gonna do? Okay, so let's talk about this chicken tractor. Overall, I honestly would say it's kind of tedious to build. There was a lot of little fiddly parts. Having a shopping list from the book that John Suscovich gives you is helpful, but to call this a stress-free chicken tractor build, I wouldn't call it stress-free. This was way more complicated to build than, let's say, like where the turkeys are in, the Thunderdome. I did not build that Thunderdome. However, I have built other shelters with that same type of plan before, and it was much easier than this. Now, they're different creatures because this is much lighter. I can pull this by myself, whereas the Thunderdome needs 4x4 of some type. So either like a little Kubota or a little Gator, or I use the 4-wheeler. But this one right here, the John Suscovich style, is able to be pulled with just one person. Some of the modifications that I made was, just for instance, for the skids, I did cut the ends off at a 45-degree angle just because we are on very slanted property. It makes it easier pulling it. I also did add on just some paneling on the two right ends, or it's not two right ends, but the two ends on the left and right and the back, because I do have the nesting box back there, and sometimes we get some wind that comes up the side of the hill, and I wanted them to have some wind protection. Now, the plans asked for or called for a 10x14 tarp. This one's a 10x12, and I couldn't get it as taut as the pictures looked, but it works. And I got the heavy duty one, not the lightweight, because I want it to last. What's up, Vader? Look at this handsome boy. So in the other video, I talked about the door issues. I have now figured out what he did. One of you lovely viewers chimed in and said that Jason from Sow the Land built the same chicken tractor, and I did watch his video, and I saw what he did for the door, and now I understand that in the diagram that the book gives you, it doesn't give you any details, but it does. The picture shows the little slats that would usually be on the actual door. It would go like this, and that's how you would attach the wood together as like a little brace piece. A little more explanation would have been lovely in the book. So these are called Homestead Essential nesting boxes. Well, I guess that's the brand, is by Homestead Essentials. I got these at Tractor Supply. That was actually the cheapest price I could find. I think the set of 3 was like $74 at Tractor Supply, and I've seen the same set of 3 online for like $120. So definitely check that out. They come in singles, doubles, and the triples like this. I did add on a roosting bar for all these ladies in here, which is right here. It goes all the way across. Because if this was designed for meat birds, they wouldn't need to roost. But these ladies and gentlemen like to get up at night and sleep. I hear the turkeys in the background. Yes, we hear you. We hear you. Have you ladies figured out the nesting boxes yet? Or are we still being weird? I know, I'm not gonna catch you. Yesterday everybody was so traumatized from being caught. All right, so these nesting boxes, the chicken sits in there. This also allows for any fecal matter, excrement to go through those little slats. It allows for airflow so they don't get overheated. And they're at a slant, so the eggs will roll down into this nifty little catch. So that alleviates any egg eaters or them squashing them when they sit on them. Because a lot of times the ladies like to fight over the same nesting box. So overall, I probably won't be building this one again. Like I said, it was just a lot of fiddly bits. What I mean by fiddly bits is, for instance, stapling all of the hardware cloth and the chicken wire in there. I did buy an electric stapler, a nail gun. Definitely, John suggests a pneumatic one. That would be great if I could have if I could afford one right now. That's not in our budget. So I did find an electric one that did make it a lot easier than having to do it by hand. It was only 30 bucks. But just getting that done, it was very tedious. And then other things, just like trying to find parts for it. I don't know if it's because of the current situation with the COVID-19 or if it's just in general, but a lot of the parts that he talked about in there, I could not find at any of my local stores. Lowe's, Ace Hardware, Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply never has anything, by the way. But a lot of the stuff that he was talking about was at Home Depot. Well, we don't have a Home Depot around here. The closest Home Depot is maybe an hour and 20 minutes away. So I did have to drive an hour and 20 minutes to get the final pieces, which were the like little bracket, the gussets to go into the corners right there to give that some support. But overall, you know, I'm not hating it, but I'm also not in love with it yet. We'll see how that goes. It definitely got some points against the Thunderdome, because the Thunderdome, I have to get the four-wheeler up here and I have to drag that across. This one I can just grab with the rope and pull myself. But I don't want to discourage anyone from trying. I just want to be honest. This was my experience building this. Was not enjoyable. It was definitely frustrating and not stress-free. However, I encourage everyone, get some chickens. If you want a mobile chicken tractor, try this out for yourself. Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone's got to try their own thing out. For me, I probably won't build another one though. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. This has been a long process to get this little chicken tractor done. It's taken me like 2 weeks to get it done. It really shouldn't have, but there's just been a lot of circumstances. Anyway, thank you again so much for joining us on this project. If you like this video, like, subscribe, share, check us out. Weekly, we're gonna have updates. Maybe I'll be in love with it in a week. Let's see. Anyway, until next time, guys, bye.